To pick yourself up, I am Asagid Haftold, your host. Today we have a guest in our studio. Her name is Viola Llewellyn. She is the co-founder and president of Ovamba. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
it's
I
good
know
to see
you're
you again.
very busy, your schedule, but you could be able to come here, so I appreciate that. Thank you. On behalf of our viewers.
Well, I'm looking forward to meeting your viewers and learning more about you. It's good to see you.
Yeah, to see you again. Yeah, thank you. Let me start with this. If you meet someone, explain to him about yourself, what you do, and this person is almost to leave. If you have to give one word that person leaves with, what that word would be about you?
I'm groovy.
Grieving.
I am groovy.
Or because you're letting that person go?
Well, I think a lot of people have laughed at me because it's such an old-fashioned word.
Yeah.
So it's probably giving my age away. But I don't think that there is an hour of the day that goes by when I don't actually use this word, either in a business memo or even a financial presentation or just chatting to my friends and talking about myself. And the reason why that word comes to mind is everybody has to find their track in life. And I found mine early, then I lost it. And then I got it back. I'm not trying to reference how Stella got her groove back. It's got nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
But everybody who is happy and successful finds a rhythm to their life. And I found mine, and stuff is groovy.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Maybe.
I think you are.
Okay, thank you. You could be able to tell.
I'm going to give you groovy lessons after this.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So you are the founder, the co-founder and president of Ovamba.
I am.
What does Ovamba do?
Marvin Cole is my co-founding partner, best business partner you could ever have. And you know what it's like for us here in the diaspora. We sit so very far away from home, and we hear all about the great deals that are going on, and somebody's cousin has a brother who has a sister that knows somebody that can do something, can bring you a contract. And when you start out as an entrepreneur of African descent living far away from home, you feel the imperative to reach back and be part of what's going on. Because as you know, it's really exciting right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we did all of that running around. We did all of that chasing contracts, meeting people. It doesn't amount to very much. At the end of the day, what we found and what we built Ovamba was how do we bring technology as a solution to those areas and sectors and people that need the most growth. And Ovamba today stands for a technology platform that provides trade, finance solutions and brings capital to African businesses who truly and desperately need to grow. The missing middle. That group of businesses, both informal and formal, who drive the most and the biggest parts of GDP in areas such as trade and importation, distribution, and manufacturing.
So do you serve African immigrants or anybody who is interested in business solution? Is your organization here in the diaspora, or also do you have a base in Africa?
Well, we're only up the street in Chevy Chase.
Right here?
Actually, yeah, in 2013, we started the company sitting at my kitchen table with Marvin and registered here. And I always joke because this is where I keep my shoes and my husband. But the business has operational offices in Ivory Coast and Cameroon. And we serve African SMEs on the continent itself. So we often get a lot of people coming to our website or wanting to download our app and want to know, hey, I'm here in Kensington, I'm in Texas, I'm an African business owner and I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z. Unfortunately, that is not our geographic focus. We're only dealing with those companies on the continent.
What made you establish Ovamba Solutions?
Well, again, the
what was
idea,
that turning point to say, you know what? I have to start this business technology solution.
Asagid, I love the way you asked that question because people don't just generally wander into things.
Yeah.
For many of us Africans, something has to impact us emotionally, personally, or family-wise. And when you're in the diaspora, you take pride in your ability to succeed in your new chosen society. So there I was, high-flying, great job, earning good money, having a fantastic time. I wasn't really thinking about Africa at all. I wasn't thinking about Cameroon, where my family are from. I was born and raised in London. And as far as I was concerned, I'm a successful member of a Western society. I have no interest in Africa. It's a dusty, messy, disorganized place run by very, very old men. I don't want anything to do with that. But again, we tend to be disrupted by individuals from the outside. My business partner is Jamaican, raised in Detroit, born in Jamaica. Can you imagine how this felt as a kid when it takes an outsider to tell me, hey, Africa's going to be big? And this was about 9 years ago. We're in 2019 now, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking 2010.
Yeah.
No, it's not, I said. I've been there. It's a mess. In fact, I hadn't been there in 24 years. So much had happened. I mean, look at Ethiopia today. It's not today what it was how many years ago. So when he said this to me and I listened to him and I thought, I don't believe you, but let me go find out. So we started a consultancy company doing advisory, again, chasing after these deals that belong to somebody's brother's uncle's wife who has a friend in the government. I went to Cameroon to go see my family.
It changed you.
You said changed, right?
Turning point.
It altered my soul.
Wow.
It shook me with fear that I could be part of the problem, which I was. Members of the diaspora who never look back, who never stop to think, has anything changed? Who don't stop to realize this is your genetic legacy. You're only going to complain when people come outside and take everything and you say, oh, everybody's interfering. Look, we went through this with colonialism once before. Are we really going to fall for digital colonialism today? The answer is no. So I went to Cameroon. Can you imagine my shock? Some things were still the same. Some things were better, but many things were worse. But one thing was constant. African businesses were still looking for access to credit. And it's the same problem that businesses have in the United States or the UK or anywhere else. I mean, you know this, don't you?
Yeah.
And that's what the turning point was. I came back and I said to Marvin, let's get to work. I don't know what you know, but I know what you can see. And I will do anything to be a part of the historic legacy of making our continent the great place that it always was and will always be again.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So far from your experience, what worked for you that could also help other immigrant business owners here in the U.S.?
It was learning the difference between trying and doing. And it was learning that solving problems creates profit, creates legacy, and creates impact. Let me ask you this question. How many business owners do you know from anywhere in Africa who are doing business because it involves buying and selling something or because somebody else is doing it, so therefore they're going to do it too? You've seen us do
duplication.
Copycatting.
Somebody does one thing and you say, I can do it, and you open
you go and do it
the next day or next door.
So we end up with a lack of diversification. But when you're truly addressing problem solving, the more you dig and more successful you become, the more issues and challenges you find, the more businesses you can actually produce. But more importantly, more excitedly, is the more business owners you can help. And the big difference that many of your audience need to understand is look for the problems and develop a solution. Look for the challenges. Avoid the copycatting. Yeah. And you are not in business if you're buying products and selling them out of a suitcase.
Especially in the 21st century.
Especially in the 21st century. And you're not an investor if you say, yes, I'm an investor, and all you do is build houses and hotels.
Yeah.
You haven't figured out that your greatest challenge on this earth, especially as an African, is how to measure and experience risk. And we're afraid of risk, aren't we?
Yeah, because we grew up being risk averse, and that's
we get rewarded for being safe.
I want to emphasize, the part you said that we, copycat. That doesn't help anybody. It's no win-win. When we become unique, when we know our competitive advantage, we could serve ourselves better and the clients that we serve. And together, we can really do something great. Other than that, what we see right now, I have seen it in the diaspora. I went back home in Ethiopia after 13 years, last year, November. I have seen duplications. And that really hurts because, you know, the market is wide. You have a lot of problems, like you said. If each one of us just find one problem for which we have a burden, for which we have the passion, the experience to do it, you can imagine how much problems we could solve.
Absolutely.
Through the process, making ourselves successful and helping others.
I think there's a root to that, Asagid. If I'm not mistaken, your background has something to do with education or at least entrepreneurship and learning, right?
Yeah, I have, diverse educational background, veterinary medicine, computer science, now strategic leadership. So I'm in the area of leadership, but, you know, I was in research, I was a software engineer, so I have like, you know, veterinary medicine, the medicine degree, and the master's in computer science. And then I said, you know what, my passion is serving others, empowering leaders. And I made a decision. I wish I made that decision a long time ago. Even if I made that decision, the system didn't allow me because that time the education system didn't allow us to make a transition from science to social science. You know, when you grew up, your mom, your dad, they tell you,
you're
be a doctor,
exactly
be an
where
engineer.
I was going to say. That's exactly the point I wanted to make. We are not rewarded, at least in our generation, when you're a kid, you are not rewarded, respected, neither do you bring any glory to your family if you appear to be flip-flopping. The idea of experimentation, which actually belongs to the science province, is not rewarded in the cultural arenas of our Africanism.
The education system discourages you.
Totally discouraged. Your job is to find something safe and succeed at it repeatedly and stay with it. That is considered a success.
Especially that hurts you when you come to the U.S. because in the U.S. you have to flow with the market, you have to find your niche and make sure that you always are up to date. You have to scan the environment, make changes. Otherwise, you become obsolete.
But you see, this is the thing that I remember when I came here on vacation in 1992 from the UK. I did not plan to live here. In many respects, 27 years later, I'm still on holiday. But the first thing I did is I scanned around and I noticed, especially amongst Cameroonians, which is where my family are from, they're doing nursing. They're going to meetings at the weekend, which is really an excuse to eat food, dance to our music, and wear some outfits. But if you ask them, are you taking cruises? Are you going on vacation? Who are your white friends? Do you have any white male friends? Oh, no. Whereas I always knew, you go in anywhere, you find the top of the tree, you climb that tree, you look around and you find out who's got the power, the influence, the money, and the cash. You go stand over there. And because we're humans, at some point, you will find commonality. I don't care that this old white guy from Southern Virginia does not eat fufu. Invite him to come eat some. Or you go to his house and eat grits. There are some things that stand outside of culture. Success, ambition, and the ability to serve community. It shows
I think the challenge
everywhere.
for our diaspora, I think I'm pushing, you pushing, a lot of people, we're trying to push the diaspora to mingle, to cross cultures. Because
it takes courage though, right?
You know, in the past, if you have IQ, that's okay. If you have emotional intelligence, you are smart, okay. But in the 21st century, you have to have cultural intelligence, the ability to work with people from diverse cultures. But mostly we just always mingle with what we know. What is predictable, what is safe. So what do you advise people to leave their comfort zone and mingle with other people from other cultures?
Well, let me answer that question by sharing something very personal about myself that many people don't know. I was born and raised in England, but I always had this yearning for something more. And it was a great irritation to some of my relatives. And by the time I reached 19, I had already become a single mother and my child had died. And my opportunity to go to university, it never happened. I am, by African standards, highly uneducated. But the part of me that my father ignited, the desire to learn and to be the very best version of myself, is what kept me going. Books are not everything. Books are fantastic if you can leverage the information and the experiences in there. My advice to the diaspora, especially those raising children today, There are many diversified paths to success, but they all relate to how do you engage your most innate talents and use them in a way that can be monetized. How can we awaken that sense of creativity and innovation? And how can we teach our young people to not see the world through the barriers of strangers, but where can we build alliances and relationships? Some of them will last a long time, some of them will last only a short time. I am so fortunate that I've been able to do that.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to take a quick break and we'll
Sure.
be back and continue from where we left it. Dear our viewers, let's take a quick break and we'll be back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is Pick Yourself Up. I'm your host, as I have told. In our studio, we have Viola. She is the co-founder and president of Ovamba. We've been talking about her experience in opening her organization and a lot more. But in the next half of our discussion, I want to ask her a little bit more questions. So welcome back. Let me ask you one question. Now, you're not just a businesswoman. You wrote a book. I saw your TED Talk, and I was like, wow, she's on fire. Tell me about that. So you're multi-talented.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The TED Talk was really about, in the modern era, fourth industrial revolution, especially for Africans who are looking for ways to engage. How can we explain to the outside world what it takes to create technologies that are specifically African? What about those aspects of our success genome that have never been quantified? How do we find the best versions of ourselves through the use of technology? That really is what that was about. As for the book, I was really privileged and honored for the Brookings Institute to ask me to contribute a chapter along with Dangote and Achaleke on the outlook for Africa and what the power of the SMEs and the small businesses and how we can continue to support them with technology. And that's what we use really as we think about bridging the gap between the diaspora and Africa and their ability to find their role in business with the continent.
Wow. So you mentioned one thing that I want to expand, which is about the success genome of Africa. You know, one of the things that the African diaspora need to really focus on is we're different. You know, in the U.S., we have to tap into our difference. What I see sometimes, you know, it doesn't mean always, but sometimes when I have conversations, the conversations are mostly like, you know, we're disadvantaged and we're not respected, or maybe we're discriminated, or and so on and so on. That could happen, but we can change the narrative.
Yeah.
We can really tap into our difference in the U.S. and we can tap into that. We can come together. Together we can really become successful. But if we just hide out or don't be able to tap into our difference in the United States, we're not successful like other immigrants from other parts of the world.
That's true.
So tell me more on that. What are some of the things that African diaspora should tap into to be successful in the United States or anywhere else?
Success starts in the mind. How you view yourself, how you value your difference, how you see what you bring to the table as being valuable is how other people are going to treat you, regardless of what may or may not be going on in society today. How we choose to connect and communicate and do business with each other cannot be governed by any third party. It's how we choose to engage with each other. How smart are our contracts? How brilliant are our ideas? How quickly are we able to pivot when something doesn't work? How comfortable are we with being uncomfortable when looking for new solutions to solve problems? These are things that don't always come naturally to us, but these are skills that we really do need to learn. There's been too much conversation about what isn't working, but there needs to be more conversations about examples of those things that do work.
All right. You mentioned Dangote, the richest African.
That's right.
And I believe that you've learned some of his success factors. What led him to be successful? Are there any lessons the African diaspora learned from his personality, why he became successful?
Actually, I'm going to challenge you and defy your comment and say I don't think there's anything about Dangote that should be emulated. But there is one thing that he should be respected for.
Yeah.
He found a niche and exploited it to the max. He is in cement. He does do some sugar.
Yeah.
He found one niche and drilled down real deep till he literally hit the bottom and occupied and became completely successful for that and built a strong brand around it, around something we need. He saw that we're expanding. He saw that the continent is growing. Concrete is the most valuable thing you could use, and that's where he pinned his hat.
Especially now, Africa is
Especially now.
expanding, construction.
But how many years
everywhere.
ago did he start his business?
I don't really know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I don't think you can do what he did today in the same way.
Yeah, but you brought a very important point, which is we may not learn a lot of things because we live in two different geographies.
This is true.
You know, he's in Africa, we're here, but we can learn something and adopt and customize it in the diaspora.
Well, in his case, consistency. The man is consistent. Consistency is something that all of us in the diaspora need to build successful businesses.
Yeah, you may fail, but you get up. Actually, you
to.
mentioned also one important thing, which is about finding his niche.
He did.
See, we already mentioned, you remember? People try to duplicate one another. That doesn't serve themselves, it doesn't serve the community, it doesn't serve the market. So we have to stop this, copycat and just duplicating. Something is working, just change the name and just go somewhere, duplicate. That doesn't help us, doesn't help the market, it doesn't help anyone. But he found a niche and then he zoomed in, as you said, he persisted. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You must be a persistent person.
Completely.
Yeah.
Being an entrepreneur is all about being mad and crazy enough to not listen when people are telling you no.
Yeah, even when failure visits you, when you
failure is not really failure unless you're failing forward.
What does that mean?
Failing forward means that, and I don't know who said it, but...
John Maxwell. I read his book, Failing Forward. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there is another comment that has always struck me and stays with me as a mantra. I haven't failed. I've just found another way in which to reach success.
I think this is Edison. He said, I
see,
didn't
you're
fail.
the smarty pants, not me.
I knew 99 ways of not to do before he discovered
Look
light
at
bulb.
Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
People are celebrated, especially in the American context, for being brave enough to have a go. You cannot win unless you're willing to fail in the process.
Say it again.
You cannot win unless you're willing to fail in the process.
Did you do that?
Oh my goodness, my failures are so horrific, huge, public, almost shameful. I cannot begin to tell you how much of my husband's 401k I have destroyed. I had a beautiful big house in Bowie. It's gone.
Wow.
I don't regret a bit of it.
Yeah. Because you're in a better place now. You learn from the experience.
The things I do today will build a legacy that nobody will forget tomorrow. It's worth it.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Worth. And let me, because I remember Steve Jobs, he experienced setbacks. He was fired from his own company. Yeah.
And
he said the same thing what you said. He said, I was out publicly embarrassed.
Oh, all the time.
Being fired from his own company.
Yeah.
But he came back.
Bigger and better.
The company was going down. He turned that around. Look at where Apple is. But I want to really encourage people in the diaspora, people who are looking for jobs, people who are experiencing setbacks. People are afraid not to fail. People are afraid not to be embarrassed publicly. But you don't have any way out to success without...
You've got to walk through that darkness, right?
So what helps you to get up, dust off the, everything and keep going?
The worst thing that will happen is you're going to die.
Yeah.
We're all going to die. Yeah. The great thing about dying is somebody's going to buy you a coffin. And they're not going to send you an invoice, not in heaven nor in hell. Yeah. But what helps me to get up is the fact that I believe in what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. It always feels as if it's just there. Yeah. It's almost just out of reach. If I just do one more little thing, I'll be one bit closer. There is nothing in my being or any entrepreneur's being that says, I must now stop, it's enough. We don't have a sense of that upper limit. Yeah. Failure is an accepted part of the journey. It just is. I don't know how to explain it. It's like needing oxygen.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to go through that discomfort. The only thing I will not tolerate of myself is to keep making the same mistake twice, over and over again. Yeah. Money, you can lose it. You can make more money.
Yeah.
Friends, you can get more friends. The one thing you can't get is time.
Yeah. Once it's gone, it's
Once
gone.
it's gone, it's gone. Time is my friend until it ain't, is a line from a song by Soundgarden.
Wow,
and
beautiful.
it has always struck me. So you keep on getting up to go because your desire to succeed is that strong.
Mm-hmm.
The people who are relying on you, the naysayers who you need to get up and say, nah, 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 nah.
Yeah.
You thought I couldn't, look what I did.
Yeah.
All of those things matter. There is an internal sense of rhythm. We talked about being groovy. And for the diaspora who are looking for ways to be brave, find the thing that you love the most, pursue it.
And go all in.
Just like Dangote.
But by the way, I naturally we accept that. For example, unless you throw a seed and die, it doesn't come out and produce more. Unless I grow and unless there is pain in me as I grow, shed some.
All
I don't
change is
grow.
painful.
Yeah. Why then, when it comes to our profession, our business, our success, we are afraid of the pain side? Because there must be a pain to grow. There must be a failure to learn.
Our perceived sense of value and what we stand to gain is calculated in a very interesting way psychologically against how much it's going to hurt. How we evaluate whether something is worth it. There was an interesting study recently about if you tell somebody with a life-threatening disease that you've got a 20% chance of living, they're not looking at it as there's an 80% chance that I'm going to die. So it depends on what side of the equation you choose to pull your values from. I've always been called a reckless enthusiast. I will jump in feet first and ask questions later. My idea, and I think this is the intrinsic answer to your question, is I truly believe in my ability to innovate and change on the fly in the middle of failing like crazy. What's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah.
What's the worst that's going to happen?
I like that. So we're left with 2 minutes. So I want to use that and maximize it.
Sure.
So you are in the diaspora,
Yep.
and you meet a lot of African diaspora and other people from other cultures. What is that one thing, or maybe 2, 3 things that's very important to succeed in the diaspora from your personal experience or other people who succeeded in the diaspora?
At the top of that,
Like 1 or 2, 3
Oh,
things
let me tell you.
on top of what we already
get
covered.
comfortable talking about money.
Okay.
Too often we want to act like it's a secret or it's a dirty thing and that money is the root of all evil. We as a culture are not good about publicly discussing money, not with our friends, not with our children, not with our families, and not with anybody else. If you cannot discuss money openly, you don't deserve to be touching it. Diaspora, please get comfortable with talking
A
about
skill for transaction,
money.
There is a
one of the main things.
culturally, I believe in other African countries, but in my country, people are suspicious of rich people.
Of course.
They always say, I prefer to be poor than rich and so on. But we know when you don't have money, you don't have voice. Even if you have talent, even if you have great ideas, people
it
don't
won't get
listen
you
for
very
people. People always looking at
Money is
what
a
you
benchmark
dress,
of the amount of influence and power you've been able to get into your sphere at any one moment in time. And that brings us to the next thing, if we were given a piece of advice. Don't be embarrassed to want to win or to be powerful and have influence. Compete.
Bring your uniqueness.
No, bring your uniqueness. You will not win every day or all the time, but just the act of pursuing success is very good for you. It's good for your health.
Yeah. You have a lot of things to offer, but we don't have time. With the remaining 1 minute we have, how can people get in touch with you?
You can Google me. Viola Llewellyn is quite findable. Our Facebook page, Ovamba for SMEs, is also our Twitter handle. Our website is www.ovamba.com. And I'm hoping that they can also find me anywhere where you are, because you are great company to keep.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming on behalf of our viewers. Dear our viewers, this is my hope that you enjoyed our discussion. I look forward to see you with another program. Until then, have a wonderful time. Thank you very much for watching.